What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into TTP Sports as we discuss a Phillies sweep of the Oakland Athletics to finish off this 7-game road trip. 6 wins out of 7 games. You love to see it. You love to see it. Zack Wheeler definitely didn't go as deep into the game as I wanted. The pitch count got really up there very quickly, but it was definitely no help to the home plate umpire in this game. He was absolutely brutal. He was not giving any inside strikes at all tonight. You can definitely see throughout the game Zack Wheeler getting very frustrated and very, a little bit animated at the home plate umpire. JT having to calm everyone down. It wasn't a good night all around for umpiring. Surprise, surprise, Major League Baseball umpires behind home plate, and just umpires in general, are bad. I am not entirely shocked of that. I wish Wheeler went a little bit deeper into the game, but he still gave you 6 strong innings in this one. Got into a little jams, but he managed to get out of those situations. 6 innings pitched, 6 hits allowed, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts on 107 pitches. Still, that ERA is dropping for him at 3.48, so that is nice to see. The rest of the bullpen, some of the guys get hit around a little bit. Matt Strahm allows another home run, 17 pitches in his 7th inning of work, 1 hit allowed, which was the solo shot, 2 strikeouts, and that's basically it for Matt Strahm. His past couple of appearances have definitely been very sluggish. I do think there's a little bit of a, cause and effect from using him a bunch and him being completely overworked, so I won't be surprised in the near future if you see a quote-unquote IL stint for Matt Strahm, whether he is injured or not, just to give him a little bit of rest, because clearly he has been overworked. And there is a stat on Matt Strahm over the past couple of games in terms of how he's performed. So this is from Nathan Ackerman. Matt Strahm has allowed at least 1 home run in 5 of his last 9 appearances, none of which have reached 3 innings. 6 home runs, 14 2/3 innings, and a 7.36 ERA in that span. These innings might have caught up to him. Yeah. We all know Matt Strahm over the past couple of years. He really hasn't surpassed like 30, 40 plus innings over the past so many seasons because he's primarily been a bullpen guy. He hasn't been a starting pitcher, I think, since 2019 with the San Diego Padres. So that basically makes sense. And maybe we're seeing the reasons why he's being overworked a little bit. And I think he's pitching a little bit too many innings right now. I know he was forced to because we didn't have much pitching depth. A lot of the guys got injured. No 5th starter. Even though the 5th starter situation, that's mainly a problem around baseball right now. The starting pitching depth around the entire league is just not good in the starting pitching role. But that's definitely something that will be addressed by a lot of teams at the trade deadline this year. Whether it's, picking guys that, got waived, picking up some cheap guys at the deadline for something, It's going to be a busy deadline, no doubt. But Jose Alvarado allowed a couple of hits, allowed a run, but he struck out 3 in his 8th inning of work, 25 pitches there. And Marte, surprisingly, in the 9th inning, kind of looked like Mariano Rivera out there, strikes out the side, and good for Marte to pick up the rest of the bullpen, which was clearly not available after all the guys that you used yesterday. Kimbrel obviously wasn't available. You had to get Strahm out there again. Soto wasn't available. Alvarado, he had to pitch another 20-plus innings, so got a day off tomorrow, so you at least get some rest there. And yeah, you're looking at some of the lineups today. Bryce Harper was not in the lineup, which was, I know a lot of people had issues about Bryce being rested, but I guess you can get away with it because you are playing the Oakland Athletics. Other people will complain, he's a DH. Why does he need an off day? He struggled to hit with runners in scoring position, especially he's been struggling against left-handed pitching. Get him an off day, get him a couple of days off his feet from the batter's box, clear his head, and get him, amped up for the Braves series and the Mets series at Citizens Bank Park. Those series were way more important than sweeping the Oakland Athletics, but you got the job done with the lineup because you know why? Kyle Schwarber is an absolute beast in that leadoff spot, regardless of what the people say. Another leadoff home run in this game. He had 2 RBIs. The dude went 3 for 4. He went 3 for 4 today with a RBI single, a leadoff home run. The dude was doing everything. Trey Turner goes 1 for 4. Alec Bohm over 3 in the 3-hole. JT over 3 in the 3-hole. Both of those guys had walks. Bryson Stott 0 for 4, Josh Harrison 1 for 4, Edmundo Sosa 0 for 4, Brandon Marsh 0 for 4, and Christian Pache in the 9-hole, playing in left field. 2 for 4 in this game. He had an extra base hit as well, a double, I believe. So that's nice to see. Actually, I believe he had 2 doubles in this game, so Pache doing his thing. You love to see it. You definitely love to see that at a good old Christian Pache. It's nice to see. It definitely is. Basically, besides that, you know, you get the solo shot to lead off the game from Kyle Schwarber. You get another run in the top of the 5th inning, which was another Kyle Schwarber RBI single after a 2-out double by Pache. And then basically later on in the ball game, as the Athletics hit a solo shot to make it 2-1, you get a Trey Turner RBI single after another Christian Pache double, so that was nice. You weren't able to get more guys home because Alec Bohm walked and you got 2 guys on. JT wasn't able to do anything, and Bryson Stott was not able to do anything either. Alvarado, a lot of double, then an RBI single, but he struck out 3, and then the Phillies basically did their thing. In the bottom of the 9th, Marte out there, gets the job done. You love to see it. You definitely love to see it there. So, looking at a whole on this road trip, I believe you won 13 out of your last 15 games, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, that is the record so far for the Phillies in their last so many games. Yep, they have won 13 of their last 15 games. They've already won, I believe, what is that, going back to the Washington Nationals series. That is at least Nationals, Tigers, you swept them, you won the series against the Dodgers, so that's 3 series, you won 5 series in a row. 5 series in a row, you won 13 out of your last 15 games. Kyle Schwarber's heating up in June, and you're getting hot at the right time because you're going up against NL East rivals in the next 2 series in your own ballpark. It does suck, though, that when you're winning, the teams that are above you are still winning, like the Atlanta Braves and like the Florida Marlins. The Florida Marlins, they're Miami Marlins. Still, Marlins the same way. The Marlins, they're 10 games above 500 in second place in the NL East. You are 3 games behind them. They are 41-33. They just somehow keep winning games with their minus 24 run differential. That just, I don't know. It just feels like to me that has to come back down to earth eventually, to where they're either playing way above their heads. I don't know how they're winning games with that run differential. It just doesn't make sense to me. And then you get the Atlanta Braves in first place, who continue to win games as well. They're on a 6-game winning streak, just like the Phillies. The Braves are 46-26, so it's definitely a very tight race right here. And also the Giants, who are also in the wild card race, I believe. The Phillies are like a game or something behind them. The Giants are still winning. They're on a 7-game winning streak. So it's a very tight wild card race at this point. The NL Central, the Brewers lead that division, but the Cincinnati Reds, they continue to win. They have won 8 in a row. They're 37-35. Brewers are 37-34. Reds are a half game behind the Brewers. Pirates fell below 500, so they're coming back down to earth. The Cubs, they're still below 500 at 33-38. And the Cardinals, they've won 2 against the New York Mets, so I believe the Mets lost another series. So, you know, they're continuing to slump, but they also did just get Pete Alonso back, even though he came back really early from a wrist injury, which was supposed to be, I believe, 3 to 4 weeks. So that's a sign of desperation for them, and he's probably forcing himself back when he's clearly not healthy. So we'll definitely see how Pete Alonso was affected by the wrist injury in his next few games. The NL West, Diamondbacks, they're still in first place. The San Francisco Giants, they just swept the Los Angeles Dodgers. Like I said, they've won 7 in a row. They're in second place in the NL West, 39-32. The Dodgers are in third at 39-33. The Padres, they won a nice series against the Tampa Bay Rays. They're still 1 game below 500, though. They are 35-36. So they've been up and down, I believe. They won 2 in a row. They've won 7 out of their last 10. So can't gauge the Padres right now. It's a very weird year for the National League. Very weird year. American League, Tampa Bay Rays, they're basically almost 30 games above 500 at this point. They're 51-24. My God. Baltimore in second place, Yankees in third. Central Division in the American League. That division sucks. No team is above 500. In the West, the Rangers are doing their thing. And the Astros, they've lost 4 in a row, so they're slumping a little bit. But looking at the rest of the schedule upcoming for the Phillies, like I've said, It's an NL East matchup this week. You get the off day tomorrow, which was, definitely needed with the amount of games you've been playing recently. And I believe you have a bunch of Mondays off. You have every Monday off this month, I believe. So you're going to be getting at least one off day a week. So that's nice to have over the next course going into the All-Star break. And I do believe you have some Mondays off after the All-Star break as well, if I'm not mistaken. So that's definitely going to be nice for this team to get some much-needed off days. We got, starting Tuesday at home, 3 games against the Atlanta Braves, and that's going to be an interesting series. Ranger Suarez and Spencer Strider are going to be the matchup for Game 1 on Tuesday. Game 1 on Tuesday. Game 2 on Wednesday is going to be Aaron Nola going up against A.J. Smith-Shawver. He is 1-0 with a 2.03 ERA. So I believe the Braves are putting 2 young guys on the mound. I believe you faced Edler, but I'm not sure about Smith-Shawver. I believe that guy just got called up. And then Thursday, it's going to be Taijuan Walker against Bryce Edler. He's 5-1 with a 2.6 ERA. I believe the Phillies faced him earlier this season, if I'm not mistaken. No, they have not, actually. They have not faced Edler. So 2 new guys that you're facing this week against the Braves, and Spencer Strider, who actually has been struggling the past couple of games. He's definitely been roughed up a little bit. Going back to his last game against the Atlanta Braves, he allowed 8 runs. Not the Braves. He plays for the Braves. What the fuck am I saying? The New York Mets. His last game against the New York Mets went 4 innings and allowed 8 earned runs. And then against the Detroit Tigers, he got roughed up 5 innings, 5 earned runs. He's been allowing a lot of home runs recently. 2 against the Mets and 3 against the Tigers. So maybe the Phillies are catching him at the right time to where he's struggling a little bit. So let's see if we could just take advantage of that. That'd be nice to see. And then you got 2 guys that you haven't seen before. So you need Ranger Suarez to continue to be Ranger, what he has been his past 4 or 5 starts. Aaron Nola, wild card. You have no fucking clue what you're going to get from him. Most likely he's going to be allowing another home run because that's what he's been doing in every start so far. And then Taijuan Walker, hopefully he keeps building off of what he's been doing in his past few games. So that would be nice to see. And then you move on to the New York Mets series. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Looks like Christopher Sanchez is going to get the next start again. So he's going to be your spot starter for now. Kodai Senga is going to be the pitcher for the Mets on that Friday. And then Carlos Carrasco and Max Scherzer for that series as well. Then it'll be Christopher Sanchez, Zack Wheeler on Saturday, then Ranger Suarez on Sunday. So basically, the last time you played the Mets, it was Senga, Carrasco, and Scherzer. So you're playing those 3 guys again. So you will be familiar with them a little bit. So hopefully you could build off of that. And okay, we faced this guy already before. We know what he has. We'll be better prepared the next time we face him. So hopefully that's the case. And Kodai Senga, I believe he did get roughed up in his last start. A little bit. He did. It was against the St. Louis Cardinals. He allowed 4 runs, 2 home runs in that start. But looking at his stat line overall, he went 2 2/3 innings against the Toronto Blue Jays, so he got roughed up there too. 3 earned runs. Against the Pittsburgh Pirates, he went 7 innings. Against the Phillies, that was one of his starts. He went 7 innings, 9 strikeouts. So it definitely seems like one good start, 1 bad start, 1 good start, 1 bad start, 1 good start, 1 bad start. When does he pitch again? Is it against the Phillies, I'm assuming? I'm assuming it's against the Phillies, so he's had a bad start, so maybe he's due for another good start. Who knows? Maybe the Phillies can just get to him again. And then Carlos Carrasco, he's got a 6.34 ERA. You did struggle against him last time, but hopefully you get to him again. Or get to him at least. And then Max Scherzer, he's been a wild card this year for the Mets as well. 5-2 with a 4.45 ERA. Against the Atlanta Braves, he allowed 5 earned runs, struck out 10, so that's a weird night for him. And against the New York Yankees, he allowed 6 earned runs. So his past 2 starts, he's been roughed up a lot. So maybe you're catching Max Scherzer at a good time. But Citizens Bank Park this week, it's going to be electric. Phillies are playing fantastic baseball lately. Granted, I don't care about the opponent that they're facing. They played the best team in the NL West against the Arizona Diamondbacks, and then they follow that up with the worst team in baseball in the Oakland Athletics. I don't care who you face. You won 3 series against bad teams, and you won 2 series against really good teams. Yeah, the Dodgers, they're definitely not the same powerhouse, but they're still a good team. Still a good team. And then you faced a really good team in the Diamondbacks. So you're beating good and bad teams lately, which is a really good sign. Now you got to take that momentum into important games against the National League East. Because, like I said, regardless of right now that you're winning, the Braves keep winning. The Marlins keep winning. So you really got to win these games, especially with this new schedule, because you're facing the National League East a lot less now. These games matter way more. They mattered as most, regardless of the schedule, over the previous years, but now they matter like 50 billion times more because you face them less. Instead of 6 times a year, you face them 4 times a year, 2 at home and 2 on the road. So, you got to make the most of every time you play these teams. You lost the series last time in Atlanta. I believe you got swept, if I'm not mistaken. Did they get swept when they play in Atlanta? No, they split that 4-game series, so they're definitely used to the... I completely forgot about that series. Zack Wheeler going 8 innings, Taijuan Walker pitching a solid outing, and then the stupid Sunday Night Baseball fiasco. And then Aaron Nola being Aaron Nola. So, yeah, that definitely sums it up there. But then, so, take advantage of this series against the National League East because these wins really matter at this point right now. You need as many as you can get. And looking at the wild card standings, because why not? You're a game out of the 3rd wild card spot. The Dodgers are in the 3rd spot, and the Giants are in the 2nd, and then the Marlins hold up the 1st wild card spot by a game and a half. I just don't get the Marlins right now. I do not understand them, how they continue to win games. I need to look at their lineup or their pitching because what is carrying them right now? I need to see this. Luis Arraez, he's definitely dipped below that 400 average, but he's still batting .338. Jorge Soler, I think Jorge Soler definitely could be a big factor. He's got a 42 RBI and 20 home runs. So he definitely could be a huge factor in why they're winning more. What has their pitching been like? What is their pitching like this year? I need to see it. Pitching. ERA. Where is it at? Sandy Alcantara, he's 2-5 at a 4.97 ERA. Luzardo has a 4 ERA. Braxton Garrett has a 3 ERA. Edward Cabrera has a... So... And Yuri Perez. I'm assuming he's one of their other starters. Yeah, he just probably got called up. So their starting rotation for almost a 5 ERA, a 4 ERA, an above 3.5 ERA, and almost a 5 ERA again. And then Yuri Perez has been really good since being called up. Has their bullpen been really good, though? How are they winning games? Let me see their batting averages from some of the other guys. Or that's actually their OPS. Okay, Luis Arraez, obviously he's doing really good. Soler's doing really good. Sanchez is doing really good. De La Cruz, Edwards, even though he just got called up too. Home runs. Are they hitting home runs? They are not hitting home runs this year. That's basically just Jorge Soler. Yeah, Jorge Soler, then their next guy with the most home runs is 8. Soler has 20. So that's a 12 home run differential there. I don't know how they're doing this. OPS average. They have a lot of guys with high averages. Okay. Well, even though 2 of those guys probably just got called up. Arraez got the 3.88 ERA. Obviously, he's a beast at the plate. He's very annoying in the face. Sanchez is a 2. Even they don't have really good... How are you winning games? I think they're just really good in one-run games, or I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. What's Gene Segura doing? Oh, Gene Segura, man. He's batting 190. Gene Segura has definitely dropped off. I don't know what's wrong with him. He has 1 home run on the year. I can't explain it. How they're winning games. Because their pitching doesn't look that good, and their hitting looks average. They definitely don't have a lot of pop in their lineup. Besides Jorge Soler, it's got to be Jorge Soler, right? Jorge Soler can't be the difference in them winning 10 more games over 500. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, Jazz, they're doing without Jazz too. That's shocking her. Because isn't Jazz hurt again? What's Jazz even doing this year? Hey, he's played 39 games, so he hasn't played a lot at all. He's been injured a lot. He's batting .229. So Jazz hasn't even been good this year. I need to see their pitching ERA. Who has their best ERA? Okay, Yuri Perez, bullpen. Okay, they got a lot of guys in the bullpen with good ERAs, so their bullpen's probably really good. Yeah, that's probably why they're winning games. Their bullpen's really good. I think that's probably why. That's probably why. But you got to believe they come back down to earth. That's probably why they have a bad run differential. Their starting pitching does not look that good. It's probably why it's their starting pitching. It's probably their weakest link right now. And they're still 10 games above 500 without Sandy Alcantara being a Cy Young. Hell, he was a Cy Young last year, and they were below 500. This doesn't make sense. So either they're playing way above their heads, or their bullpen is just constantly saving their asses. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Let me look at their schedule for the second half. Maybe I can look at that. Let me look at who they've played so far to start the season. Mets twice. Twins. Phillies, they won that series. The Diamondbacks. Giants. Guardians. Braves, they lost that series. They swept the Cubs. Got swept by the Braves. Lost the series to the Cubs. Won a series against Arizona. Said they've been rarely good against Arizona this year. Lost the series to Cincinnati. Swept the Nationals. Lost the series to San Francisco. Lost the series in Colorado. Swept the Angels. Lost the series to the Padres. Swept the Athletics. Swept the Royals. So that's a 6-game winning streak right there. Won a series in Chicago against the White Sox. Lost the series to Seattle. Swept the Nationals. So they've been very up and down, it looks like. And the teams that they're facing coming up, they're facing Toronto, so that should be a tough series for them. Then at the 4-game series against the Pirates. Did they play the Pirates earlier this year? They did not. But who knows what happened during that stretch. Then they play the Boston Red Sox. They play the Braves again. They play the Cardinals at home in a 4-game series. And then they play the Phillies to close out the All-Star, before the All-Star break. Their second half. Okay, their second half definitely gets a lot tougher. It gets a lot tougher for them. They open up after the All-Star break with Baltimore, 3 games. St. Louis, 3 games. Colorado, 3 games. Tampa Bay for 2. Detroit for 3. So basically, okay, so their first series is really tough. Their next 2 series are but they did lose a series to the Cardinals. So who knows what can happen there. They did lose a series to Colorado, too. Then they got 2 games against Tampa Bay. That'll be tough. Then they got Detroit. That should be easy for them, but who knows. And a 4-game series against the Phillies. 3 games in Texas. That'll be tough for them. 3 games in Cincinnati. That should be tough because the Reds are playing a lot better. 3 games against the Yankees. 3 games against the Astros. 3 games against the Dodgers. 3 games against the Padres. That's a really tough stretch for them. Yankees, Astros, Dodgers, and Padres all in that span. That can make or break their season, that stretch right there. Then after that, they play the Nationals. They play the Tampa Bay Rays. Nationals again, so that'll be an easy stretch for them. The Dodgers again, the Phillies, the Brewers, and... Okay, here we go. Phillies, Brewers, Braves, Mets, Brewers, Mets to close out the year, and then 1 series against the Pirates. They're going to come back down to earth. I could just see it. I could just see it with that schedule. Their schedule gets way tougher. I'm sorry for looking at the Marlins. I'm just trying to figure out how they're doing this. It's probably because of their schedule. So who knows? Who knows? But the Phillies, this is not a Marlins channel. This is a Phillies channel. And they got to get the business done against the National League East coming up with the Braves and the Mets this week. 3 games against the Braves, 3 games against the Mets. That's all that matters from here. All that matters. Rangers Suarez and Spencer Strider get the bump on Tuesday. So let's see. You get the day off tomorrow, which is a much-needed off day for a lot of guys, especially that bullpen. So you got to take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. I'm sure the ballpark's going to be very electric this week, especially this weekend against the Mets. So let's see. We do have a voicemail here on the Anytime Hotline. You can leave those there at 215-839-9885, your thoughts and opinions on anything. So let's get to what Sean has to think about this Phillies road trip.
Great road trip by the Phillies. You know, you go out west and you win 6 of 7. That's pretty damn impressive, even if it is against the Oakland A's. But the last 2 games, you know, the bats were quiet, other than, of course, June Schwarber. But you're facing guys you haven't seen in a while, you know, ever, in a huge ballpark, so not totally unexpected. Gotta say, was that Mariano Rivera that pitched tonight? Junior Marte throwing like that? Wow. Great job by Marte to pick up the rest of the pen that didn't do as good. So now you take a day off Monday and you go forth against the Braves and the Mets. Citizens Bank Park should be electric. The only bad thing, and you touched on it on your video yesterday, Amadeo, is that the Braves and the Marlins keep winning. So you got one of the teams in front of you head-to-head for 3. You got to deliver the KO shot and sweep their ass.
I'm not even going to demand sweep against the Braves, but honestly, with the way the Braves have been playing, you would love to sweep them. But right now, I'm not even going to demand that. I'm just going to say win the series. Win the series first and foremost. It starts with Ranger Suarez on Tuesday. It's going to be tough with Spencer Strider, regardless if he's been struggling his last couple of outings. He's really dominated you over the course of his career, except for that one game in the National League Division Series when he was pitching injured. So, let's see. You're playing a great baseball as of late. You've won 13 of your last 15 games. You won 5 series in a row, 2 sweeps included in that stretch. You're playing your best baseball so far this season. Kyle Schwarber, of course, it's June. He's getting hot. Yeah, your bats did go quiet in the last 2 games against the Athletics, but as what Sean said, you haven't faced any of these guys. You haven't seen any of these guys at all, and you're playing in a terrible ballpark. So you still found ways to win. Now you're going to come home. It's going to be warm this week. Home cooking, in your own beds, pumped up for an NL East matchup because that can really decide things going into the All-Star break. It can make things a little more enticing at least. You're now, what? Phillies, they're now 4 games above 500. Got to keep going. Got to keep the motor going because it's only going to get tougher from here. I believe our schedule even gets tougher in the second half as well, if I'm looking at everything. So we close out the first half, this series against the Braves, a series against the Mets, on the road in Chicago against the Cubs, home against the Nationals, and 6 games in Florida with Tampa Bay and Miami to close out the first half of the year. Then after the All-Star break, definitely a little tough to start out there. 4 games against San Diego at home, 3 games against Milwaukee, 3 games in Cleveland, a tough series at home against Baltimore, 3 games in Pittsburgh, 4 games in Miami, 3 games at home against Kansas City, 4 games at home against Washington, and 3 games at home against Minnesota. That stretch should be really key for this Phillies team because they're playing a lot of bad teams in that stretch. Granted, the Minnesota Twins, they are in first place in the American League Central, but they're not above 500. That division sucks. That should be a really huge stretch. That stretch of 9 games should be huge for this Phillies team in August. But that's August. We'll get there when we get there. Then you get 2 games in Toronto, 3 games in Washington. Technically, one of those is in the Little League Stadium, I believe. They're doing the Williamsport thing against Washington. 3 games at home against San Francisco, 3 games at home against St. Louis, 3 games at home against the Angels. Then you go on the road in September to start off that. 3 in Milwaukee, 3 in San Diego, 3 at home against Miami, 3 at home against Atlanta, 3 on the road against St. Louis, 3 on the road against Atlanta, and then you close out the year, 7 games against the Mets, and then sandwiched in between is a home series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. So you get 7 games at home, and then your final series is on the road, 3 games against the Mets. So with our struggles against the Mets this year, basically in the past few years, got to figure it out. I'm not going to look that far into the future, but our schedule definitely isn't as tough as the Marlins. So, like I said, that stretch of 9 games, how I pictured that 4 series stretch for the Marlins when they're playing New York, Houston, LA, all that stuff, that tough stretch for them. Our stretch where we really should get rolling even more is against that Kansas City, Washington, Minnesota series, because it's 3 games against Kansas City, 4 games against Washington, and 3 games against Minnesota. That's a 10-game stretch there. That'd be huge for this team. That'd be huge for this team if they can find a way to at least win 8 out of 10 there, 9 out of 10. But like I said, looking way too far ahead in that case. You got to win the games that are ahead of you. You got to look ahead 1 game at a time. You got the Atlanta Braves coming up. Huge series. Find a way to silence this Braves team. Get closer to them in the standings. And further continue this stretch of good baseball. Got to find a way. Got to find a way. Because right now, it's neck and neck in the wild card race. Got to find your way to inch closer in that. It's going to be tough. It definitely is. But right now, you got to figure it out. I trust Ranger Suarez. I trust Taijuan Walker as of now. I trust Zack Wheeler. I don't trust Aaron Nola. That's a question mark right there. We all know. We don't know what the hell he's going to give us every day. One night he can go 8 innings and strike out 12. The other, he allows 2 home runs and 7 runs in the ball game. So we don't know. what Aaron Nola's going to give us every night this year. Most likely will not be back next year. And then whenever we get to that trade deadline, what is Dave Dombrowski going to do? I believe it's at the end of July, beginning of August, the trade deadline. So we got to figure what's going on there. Once you get back to Philadelphia, Bryce Harper will be back in the lineup. I'm sure, hopefully, Castellanos will be, done with his sickness. So we got to wait and see. We dug ourselves a hole with that slow start of the season. The Braves just kept on winning. You kept on losing to start. But now you're winning again. And you got to keep winning. And keep winning. And keep winning. So let's see what this team does. I see some of you guys in the comment section. Oh, great minds think alike, Corey. We dug such a big hole. Yeah. Great minds think alike there, Ben. Scott, how you doing, man? Haven't heard from you in a little bit. It doesn't matter how they do it, but a win is a win, and a win is a win is a win or a sweep. The Phillies better decide how to use Strom so he can get into a right frame of mind to pitch. Like I said, I think an IL stint is coming up for Strom in a little bit, just soon, just because, regardless if he's injured or not, just to get him some rest, because he's been really overused. Really overused. Just my thought, Braves-Mets series could be very important, could decide if we are just fighting for the wild card or division. Exactly. My thoughts alike. T-Man says we seem to have it together and we're 4 over 500. Let's keep it there and better our game. I agree with that. I agree. Robert says Scott has a great point on fighting for the division or the wild card. We have to ride the wave as long as we can. Exactly. Right now, this is a very tight wild card race. I would love to get as close to the division as possible. I would like to get as close as possible to that division. Hopefully, maybe the Braves go on a stretch where they lose a little bit and they, have a skid. But right now, they just continue to win. And you dug yourself a hole in the beginning of the year. How the hell did Cincinnati sweep Houston? Great question. Cincinnati, they called up one of their top prospects and one of the top prospects in baseball, and De La Cruz. He's been on a tear. And I think that team's just riding a hot wave right now. Honestly, I could see the Reds winning the Central Division because that's how weak the Central is in the National League too. There's no real clear-cut division winner, favorite for that division, because I would say that the Cardinals, they ride that wave of black magic in the second half, but it just sounds like they're getting worse and worse and worse. Even though they did just win a series in New York, but they just continue to lose. I think their pitching is just bad. Even though they do a minus 15 run differential. It used to be positive a couple of days ago. But yeah, the Reds are riding a hot wave. Yes, got to see what happens. So, I think that's going to do it for tonight, everybody. Got an off day tomorrow. Then we prepare for Tuesday against the Braves. I will be at that game, so get to see Rangers Suarez up against Spencer Strider. That should be a fun time. Should be a very fun time. So, it's going to be an interesting week. Thankfully, we can have daily recaps again and not freaking night games for a whole week. So, we do daily recaps. You can see my damn face every night now. So, that'll be fun. So, it's going to do it for tonight, everybody. I appreciate you joining the streams as always. So, don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. I like to see those. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. Do not forget to check out everything in the description down below. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. We're getting closer to 800, so let's surpass that. And then once we surpass that, we're on the road to 1,000 from there. So definitely join the TTP Sports family. It is a great time. Also, use the code TTP Sports. $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Definitely utilize that if you want to go to any of these Phillies games this week against the Braves or the Mets. Great deal. Do not pass it up. Thank you, everyone, for joining tonight.